44 years after graduation, Federal Government College Odogbolu class of 1979 holds reunion dinner party to reunite, unwind and share fond memories in a two-day reunion tagged FEGO'79. The chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offense Commission, ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasanoye, also an alumnus of the school, in a speech highlighted the issues faced by unity schools in grassroots Nigeria as a direct impact of the overall deficit in leadership and national development, and the need for the alumnus of institutions to influence development in their alma mater as a way of giving back. While he noted the issues of funding and infrastructure as prominent among these challenges, he highlights the activities of some of the alumni of Class 79 to address these issues.
I crave your indulgence to invite the chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasanoye, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to give us his speech. You're welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not particularly sure what the order of the protocol should be, so I'll just adopt the protocol that has been laid. First, let me thank the organizing committee, but most in particular, Ayo Ogwemiga. Now, I think the most predominant thing in his name is Ogbon, wisdom. And the Bible says, with all you're getting, get what? Get wisdom and get understanding, because wisdom is the principal thing. I think Ayo has used wisdom to put this event together. And in spite of your gastronomic distraction, give him a round of applause in your hearts. As you've probably heard here, I also went through FEGO, but for A levels only. And honestly, this has been a delight for me as well. I will go straight to the point. Alumni reunions often induce us to reminisce about our days in the school, the past, life's trajectory, about classmates, and those who have departed. We have seen that happen here this evening. We have heard that Luncha passed down some senior Dashme clothing to our brother on the high table. As alumni, what basically unifies us is that we passed through the walls of the same school at one time or the other. In this case, the Federal Government College, Odogbolu FEGO. While we may each remember our days in school for different reasons, what is unforgettable is the social connection that we have formed and upon which we have built a lifetime network of friendships that are now useful for social, political, economic, or other interests, or a combination of all. I was quite amused to hear that the principal of the school had been our customer in ICPC. I did not expect that at all. But thankfully, it was not a negative kind of customer. When next you visit, I hope it will be to see me in the office and not to go to the other room. Yes, we have many other rooms which you would not like to visit. 44 years after the fact, many things have changed in us and about us. We have had time to truly reminisce and hopefully more time yet alive to make a difference. 44 years ago, there were visions and dreams, many lofty and grandeur ideas of greatness, of wealth, of influence, of achievements. Some have achieved and some have surpassed their dreams and their visions, while others remain work in progress. We have individually proposed, but God has disposed in his infinite greatness and mercy. For those of us who are still alive, my prayer for you is that the best is yet to come. Age is not and should not be a barrier to achieving life's dreams. For many of us here, we graduated from FEGO 44 years ago when we were about 16 years of age. This means many of us are already 60 or will be 60 in a few years. We're aging and senescence has come or is definitely on the way. Thankfully, senescence does not mean senility, but it means in reality that we are aging. Some organs are not functioning optimally, and body cells are changing. We're daily reminded by our bodies biologically that we must slow down. On the other hand, the psychological part of aging, the part that the term senescence initially scared us off, deals with memory, the adaptation to change, reminiscences, and even intelligence. This does not necessarily depreciate with age. We have seen here today people remembering things that happened 44 years ago. There is yet a sociological aspect of aging which includes role reversal. The crisis which can sometimes be caused by stressful situations, limitations, a sense of guilt. Some of us at this age, or the stage we're passing through now, fear that we're losing control as our children grow older, as work income reduces. Quite a number of people here are retired or are retiring, and we rely more on pension. As children become men, women, fathers and mothers, and we become grandfathers and mothers, the inevitable role reversal takes place in mostly positive but sometimes negative ways. We all, or some of us, are already dealing with some of the above. It is inevitable. How we deal with aging affects our happiness and our well-being, so we must learn to age with grace and not allow sorrow, depression, loss of expectation, and stress to affect our equanimity and our well-being. In the midst of these self-observed changes, we have a role to play to bring about a bigger change within our immediate and remote communities. Nigeria cries for change, and we must be a part of that change. Locally and globally, cultural, socioeconomic, and political changes are upon us that we have a responsibility to influence. Changes induced by technology and social media, biological and cultural identities, political struggles, and the race to dominate. Therefore, the rest of my brief speech, I will evaluate the role of alumni and the whole concept of unity schools from which we all emerged. Federal Government College Odogbolu was and is a unity school. In the context of Nigeria's fragile political configuration, this is a very important concept. The ideology underlying the establishment of unity schools dates back to ethnic and religious tension in Nigeria's past. This tension peaked with the Civil War of 1967 to 70, after which there emerged a very strong desire for the nation to recover from the wounds inflicted by conflict and to establish a society marked by unity and peace. Education, therefore, became a viable tool for reconciling the difference, blurring the lines of division, and promoting a shared national identity. Irrespective of ethnic origin, the desire to pursue and achieve a common goal through a shared effort remains the recurring decimal for national unity which is essential to good governance, development, and growth. The significant point to note is that the creation of unity schools and inclusive institutions of learning was one of the proactive solutions to the mistrust and the misunderstanding at that time. The underlying principles can be summarized to include the need to attract and to admit students from various backgrounds of our diverse population to foster diversity and inclusion with understanding and appreciation for cultural, ethnic, and religious differences. The underlying impact of these efforts engendered a sense of shared identity among students. Second, to adopt an assorted template of teaching and curriculum with emphasis on character development and unity. And finally, to equip the students with high academic standards and quality education. In consequence, alumni of unity schools, having been so well equipped with requisite skills to guarantee their contributions to national development, have no excuse but to make a mark. After all, as the Holy Book says, the Bible says in Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much will be expected. However, we have heard of the challenges faced by unity schools. We have heard from the principal. We have heard from the president of the Old Students Association that despite the lofty ideals of his foundation, unity schools across the country are bedeviled with myriad challenges pushed from the larger society and threatening and undermining the essence of its philosophy. Central to this is corruption, nepotism, and the failure of governance driven by successive leadership deficit at micro and macro levels over the years. These challenges manifest as local problems. In other words, my argument is that the challenges of leadership that you see in the larger society actually percolate down to micro levels and to secondary schools. So when you get to FEGO and you find the buildings are dilapidated, there is no electricity, there is no water, that's not a local problem. It's a symbol or a symptom of something bigger that those at the local level will struggle to deal with. These challenges manifest as local problems, but they are actually of a national magnitude. These are inadequate funding, lack of infrastructure, a shortage of academic staff, an outdated curriculum, insecurity, the lack of or limited access to underprivileged and physically challenged students, uneven geopolitical distribution of schools and resourcing of schools, inadequate parental input and involvement, and inadequate alumni contribution to the growth and development of the schools. You could expand the list. So what should alumni be doing? Alumni reunions offer a unique opportunity to reflect on how to harness the collective strength and influence of the alumni to positively impact and assist unity schools to achieve their original objectives of national integration, leadership, capacity building, and national unity. And I'm very happy that this evening that reflection has come out in the conversation from the speakers and from the principal. Apparently, there is a Unity School Old Students Association. I don't know if you are aware of it. There's a Unity School Old Students Association whose functions and mandate and achievements, I confess I'm totally ignorant of it, but it seemed to recognize that Unity schools have the capacity to impact government policies, to galvanize change, and to promote the general administration of Unity schools positively. One of the persons on the high table here is a former minister and is a regulator for quantity surveying profession. And there are many more like himself and others in this room who can actually influence policies that influence positively what happens within the Unity schools. Through the role of alumni, Unity schools can tap into the goodwill of both private and public sectors to draw talent, human and financial resources, and strategies to stimulate the growth and development of Unity schools across the nation and to motivate students. I'll give an example. Although this example is from the university level, I'm part of a project going on in Oxford for some years now. And I noticed that all the alumni globally, all over the world, where it doesn't matter where they are, the university tracks them and what they are. And in order to inspire students and to encourage them to aspire, to give them links if you find yourself in another country, in another environment, you know that somebody you saw his name on a plaque. You were not born when that person went through the university. But that doesn't matter. But you know that there's somebody who was in Federal Government College Odogbolu in ICPC. If somebody walked up to my office and said, "Sir, I was in FEGO," there will be a bond immediately. Unity schools need to learn to track alumni who have achieved whatever in their fields. As a way of motivating students, you put there Murtala Aliyu, former minister of so and so, quantity surveyor. If you know their current affiliation, somebody is looking at it. If they get somewhere, I saw one Murtala Aliyu, and this happens to me a lot. People meet me and say, "Oh, Bolaji Owasanoye," I would always assume they were either my student or something. And it's always happening, and I never remember anything. But they just will say, "Oh, you taught me in so place," and there's a bond immediately. The school and alumni need to do that, collate the names of those who are wherever, and students can aspire to be like them, to go to those institutions, and to link up if they can and if those people are alive. Unity schools can, through effective alumni involvement, engage government across all tiers for more constructive inputs and initiatives directed at radical overhauling and reform of not just Unity schools, but the entire public school system in Nigeria. In effect, Unity School alumni possess a unique platform to promote and advance the unity of Nigeria as a country, because the unity that politicians are trying to achieve as adults via political parties were attained in youths via Unity schools many years ago. Some of the non-Southerners that I know, I met them in FEGO, and some of us who are in this room today, some of our colleagues and classmates from other parts of the country, is by the bonding and the establishment and the fact that we went to Unity schools. And if you have achieved unity at that young level, at the level of rascality, you know, where you dodge classes together, you go and hide somewhere. Some of the secrets that Luncha was trying to share here of some of the deviant behavior that himself and others got up to, that bond never breaks. When you do it with somebody from any part of the country, you are soulmates for life. In addition to this particular opportunity, other impact-driven initiatives possible through alumni include career guidance and mentorship program to inspire younger generations. And I'll give a personal example here. The first time I did JAMB, there was no guidance whatsoever. I loved literature very much, so I had my first course as classics, which is pure arts, and the second course as political science. Totally unrelated. One is social science, the other is pure arts. I got admitted for sociology, which I didn't want, and that's why I ended up in FEGO. And the next year, I'd discussed with people a little bit, and then I knew that I wanted to do law, and that was clear. And I ended up as a lawyer. One of the first things myself and a few classmates then did, religiously for about 10 years from the University of Ife, every year was to go back to the secondary school and to speak to final year students. Every year. What do you want to do? When you open JAMB brochure, it is this big. That is the beginning of your confusion. You don't even know where to start and where to stop. People will offer you many things because you are very good in physics. Oh, they say maybe you should read engineering and all that. But your heart may be somewhere else. So myself and another colleague who read medicine, one who read engineering and all that, we made it a point of duty. And the school was proximate. We were all in Ibadan, so there was no problem about distance. This is one of the things, career pathways, career guidance, very early from people who have been through it. I know that for many of us who are becoming geriatrics in this room now, this may be a problem, but it is not impossible if you do find the time to create it and to guide those who need guidance and mentorship, to inspire younger generations, networking and collaboration, to encourage teachers and leverage alumni expertise, resource, and social capital for projects to address current challenges. Philanthropy and fundraising to close funding gaps towards addressing most pressing challenges, including those of the decline in educational standards. I have heard virtually all of these things mentioned this evening in different ways. What just needs to happen is for it to be structured. Universities tend to be a bit more organized when it comes to alumni funding and support. But secondary schools actually can leverage on the ideas and the example. It just needs coordination. Many people are willing to help, but they don't have the time to handle it. So once you find somebody who can handle it, then everything else falls in place. With my university set, for example, because I'm an academic and I know what alumni coordination can do, 25 years after we graduated from the school, there was a young girl who was born the year we left, and she made a first class. In order to encourage her, we invited her as a special guest to our reunion for my set to facilitate her going to Harvard. And we succeeded. She went to Harvard. She's graduated. She's actually teaching somewhere abroad now. Such platforms. So when next you have a reunion, the principal can bring some students who are doing very well as a motivation. They will never forget the interaction. You know, young people, when they get these opportunities and this exposure, that's one memorable thing to hold on to from secondary school, that you were selected from your peers to come and meet with a quantity surveyor, a former minister, a professor of law, an engineer, an architect. You never forget that, you know. And such people never drop the ball, historically. We could create those platforms for them. Let me close my speech. This paper emphasizes that unity schools and alumni have the potential to play a crucial role in national development. Through their collective efforts, they can drive social change in every sector of society, promote policy reform and advocacy, and ensure the fulfillment of the philosophy behind the establishment of unity schools. In this regard, alumni in the diaspora can actively contribute to the development of Nigeria by leveraging their international networks, knowledge, and resources. I've just given an example. If you connect with a school, students who want to study abroad, who go through university and want to do postgraduate, some of us are well positioned to facilitate, give a reference, link them up with people who can supervise peculiar programs and stuff like that. Alumni associations can facilitate engagement with the diaspora community, fostering collaborations for economic growth, knowledge transfer, and cultural exchange. Unity schools were established with the vision of promoting unity, integration, and quality education in Nigeria. By recognizing the potential of alumni reunions as platforms for collective impact, graduates of unity schools can contribute significantly to national development. Through networking, mentoring, philanthropy, and advocacy, alumni can harness their shared experiences and resources to address societal challenges and create a positive impact on a broader scale. By building upon the philosophy behind the development of unity schools, alumni reunions can be transforming in a way that reinforces the shared national aspiration of unity and national integration of the nation. Alumni are therefore advised not to just organize at the set and school level, although this is where impact must begin, at the micro level, but the vision must be for a national network of alumni of unity schools to build the required critical mass for national impact. Such a network, if one does not already exist, will help alumni network connect, work together, and contribute thoughts and assets. It will also act as an archive of expertise and knowledge, empowering unity school graduates to apply their talents, experiences, and successes for the collective good. So let me digress a little bit. The principal said he came to my office. We were investigating expenditures during COVID-19. I will not say to you exactly how we go about the work, but we needed to know exactly how students were eating when they were at home. So we brought all the principals and all the bursars and all of them. And of course, we found more than what we were looking out for. But one of the things I do in my office is to use the findings of situations like that to influence policy changes. I write to government, I tell them this is going wrong, you need to change this. One of the advantages if you have an aggregation of unity schools, in particular, I'm not talking about disparate secondary schools. Unity schools are unique because, so if all the unity schools, the alumni, FEGO', Warri, Shagamu, Sokoto, wherever, come together and make a presentation to government through the Ministry of Education, you will bring the permanent secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, to your meeting. That's a very powerful statement, which cannot be ignored. Because you are speaking with one voice, and you can easily leverage on your networks to make whatever changes happen. That is the kind of organization that I hope to see following this unique reunion. At the micro level, we need to encourage alumni to actively participate in more philanthropic activities that address critical challenges at the school level. By tapping into the wealth of resource and knowledge present within our network, we can catalyze powerful social endeavors such as establishment of scholarships, development of specific school or community projects, aid to disadvantaged students, teacher recruitment, or support programs. So for example, there are teachers that are not available for some subjects, either because government has not posted enough. In many schools, alumni pay for teachers in collaboration with the school. The school will give you the capacity gaps. The alumni will decide to fill it. What the students need are teachers to teach them. And we close that gap as an example. Of course, I've heard this evening that there are projects that are already being supported. This is highly commendable. By tapping into the wealth of resources and the knowledge present within our network, we can catalyze powerful social endeavors such as the establishment of scholarships, development of specific school or community projects, aid to disadvantaged students, teacher recruitment or support programs. These endeavors will empower and instill enduring values that reinforce the underlying philosophy of unity schools. A major inhibitor of our country's development potential is corruption. Each of us have a role to play in our work, in our social lives, in the politics that we play, in our religious communities, in building the type of society that we desire to bequeath to the incoming generation. We have a responsibility to address the governance issues raised above in our individual personal ways and as a collective. If nothing else, by living by example and as change agents in our working community, political, economic, social, and religious lives. Thank you very much for inviting me, and God bless you.